all about what our next door neighbors are gonna have to pay. And I've told that to Dave up front when we hired him. I said, I don't want everybody to have to pay endlessly to approve their life and all of it. These are our neighbors, and that's how I look at it.
Have you realized this? This is going to be something. Look at that hammer. It's beautiful. This is
Wi-Fi's on.
I'll do that. So,
Red zone.
would you just put it at her place? When she gets there, she will see it.
You want the whole thing out, everything? I'm pretty
Is anybody warm in here?
Yes,
Oh, they have a car
we have
one.
no control over
Got
that.
any way around that?
I tried this afternoon. It was very warm.
Oh, there's no car.
Are you talking to us, Dick?
I was.
I don't know if we get to change that.
I don't have a problem with it. Are you having an issue with it?
Oh, I would love to have this one.
You would love to have that?
Reviews done on most applications, yeah.
Well, because you're basically reviewing if they have everything in.
Yeah.
So, but that's your job.
Yeah, but I'm not doing a tech review.
No, you don't need a tech to do a tech review. You need to review if everything is in place.
Yeah, it's a checklist.
Yeah, and that's what I said to a friend came over of that guy that's not being heard tonight.
John.
She's not being heard tonight. Yeah. A friend of his came over and said, "What the hell?" I said, "He didn't do what he's supposed to do. He gets a nice list. The day he goes in for that application, and he's got to follow that list right down to the call. That's all he's got to do is do what's on the list, and then we'll hear it.
Yeah,
And he'll get a great hearing, and probably an approval, maybe not if it's too crazy.
Dina was coming with
Well, he's too fast. I think he wants a bigger too
And he had two for the garages
We've had plenty of reviews. My whole thing with it is we don't want to and that's how I work. Professional love.
Don't sell back to the dealer. They have to mark anything. Oh, okay.
A few.
My wife,
I don't think so.
what car she
This town is
she has
probably going to be 90%.
and got 80%. And they said for 3 years. This one's sky high prices of cars right now.
It always has.
Her price was lease, right?
Really?
It was 28 grand. They were getting a lot of stuff car on the lot. They're getting the same amount.
It's important for the town to be good to people.
So she turned herself out.
If I can't do that, I would gladly.
She just retired.
I don't need to do that. I've been doing this for a long time, for all the right reasons.
Now she got a car for the next 10 years.
Glad to have you here.
Hi, Mark. I brought the singer of the application just because I think it's talk to David or something about her name is. You have to notice it's the whole thing because the circle about the big well.
Who's singer?
It's not.
Yeah, you're right. My Ford F-150 is so cheap. Oh, well, I used
How does
to.
Dave even have it?
I
How does Dave
told
even have it?
that's much more expensive for your service.
They provided me with a notice to review.
Yeah, they say so many miles and so much time.
And the government doesn't do a physical declaration of height requirement, and he thinks he does.
He's very generous with his time.
But
Yes.
the thing with that car, I have gone through.
Aren't we all?
already now. That's stupid.
For what?
Rims.
Oh, really?
Those low profile cars.
Did you hit stuff?
Which one?
Yeah, because I actually switched over to New York visiting my wife when she was working for Facebook. I hit a pothole, I got two tires on the right side. And so I had to go to Mercedes-Benz in Manhattan, because I was like within a block of where they were. And I said, you know what, I'm just
Is
gonna
that to be carried?
for a year.
No,
Well, you know, actually, they live there down here. Yeah, oh,
A two-family, and they're going to the voting district.
Bruce McCarthy. You haven't heard, finished hearing it yet.
Well, I have brought it flat.
What?
So they,
They're even worse. They're worse.
That I bring
And they're worse. I mean, they're good in that you don't send out how you right, but they now you go to, but you can get AAA because
It's not?
Like I have AAA. Yeah.
Why-
You know, my motor association pays for it, and then, so I just wait for the guy. That's true.
Lance, driving minutes ago, I grabbed my glasses.
Pardon me?
5 minutes ago, I grabbed my reading glasses.
Yes.
For 91 feet.
Quite all right.
4 minutes.
We can hold for a couple minutes.
We can hold her.
Here, they're over here.
He's not coming.
well, that's coming again.
Hello, Mark.
How are you, sir?
Fine. How are you?
I'm good, okay. Busy, but
Yep. Join the club.
After the meeting, I want to show you that, and show Dave what you want. Are they going to completely eliminate their application to do anything there, or they just?
They are withdrawing their application, therefore it is not pending before us, and I have no idea what the guy's gonna do.
Oh, well, that's what I need to point out, though. If he's going to do something, I think he's working with the wrong paperwork to solve it. I showed him the days.
A nice conversation in our family. I was there. So he just, right now he has withdrawn because I think he may just instead live and renovate what he has. He's not sure what he's doing. He does not want to pay additional professional to work with it.
They screwed him in the first place. They listed those as 26 foot wide, and they're 25 foot wide. Someone on the tax map.
Steve, I don't know what to tell you. I just like,
24 New Street. I built a house next door.
this is like people,
Generally.
people,
One every.
Generally.
yes.
The surveyor said it's a 26 foot lot, it's only a 25 foot lot. And he surveyed it and did all the calculations based on 26. It's completely wrong.
Who did the survey? Oh, I don't need to know his name. He had it done?
Yeah, it's actually done, and they said that they're giving it company. I mean, they're reputable. But you know, there's been problems in Seabright from previous, what do they call it, the registration points where they start their surveys from, the discrepancy.
Of course.
From north to southeast by one
That's
foot.
where it is. It all begins.
You're the mayor of Seabright. Congratulations.
How are you? Right.
And he's claiming he's only 1 foot 6 inches from me, when I have a survey shows I'm 3 feet. And that's what the first thing that sparked the way.
You're 3 feet structure. Your
On the
structure.
plot plan, I have 3 foot 2 inches from his house. And that's
For what, the property line or the structure?
from the property line. No, his structure is over, you see the dotted line?
Yeah.
His existing structure is over James's property line.
Right.
But he's saying that his house is, his property line is only 1 foot 6 inches from this house, where it's 3 feet. HVAC, yeah.
I know. Well, thank you. You know, we have a new partner tonight, new mayor, new chairwoman.
Who was the
You have to call her madam.
Whatever she wants.
You got that?
It's
I
easier.
raised two daughters. Good, Candace? Please stand for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. The Borough of Seabright, in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, has provided adequate notice of the time, date, and location of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press, the Link News on January 13th, 2022, filed notice with the Borough Clerk, and posted notice on the Borough office and the Borough website. The meeting is open to the public, and I welcome you all. We have a roll call, please.
Councilman Bieber,
Here.
Ms. Fields, Mr. Cashmore,
Here.
Chairman Cunningham,
Here.
Vice Chairman DeSeo,
Here.
Ms. Gorman,
Here.
Mayor Kelly, Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Lexstein,
Here.
Mr. Schwartz, Mr. Julia.
Okay. On to the approval of minutes from the April 12th meeting. Discussion about the minutes or a motion?
I'll move to approve them.
Mark, second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Councilman Bieber?
Yes.
Mr. Cashmore?
Yes.
Chairman Cunningham?
Yes.
Ms. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Lexstein?
Yes.
And those are all the eligible.
Right. On to the resolution for application number 2022-10, Alan Porto, 568 Ocean Avenue, Block 27, Lot 1. Discussion?
I'll move the resolution.
Second?
Second.
I was just about to say, I just seconded.
Okay. Councilman Bieber?
Yes.
Mr. Cashmore?
Yes.
Chairman Cunningham?
Yes.
Ms. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Lexstein?
Yes.
And that's it.
Sometimes when the chairman says second, he meant second, or do you mean, do we have a second?
Yes.
I better be a little more clear on that.
No worries.
Not bad. And here we are, Ms. Falco. Welcome back. This is 158 Ocean Avenue, Block 34, Lot 1. We've had a lot of discussion about this.
If I may, for purposes of the record, Mr. Chair.
Please.
Your attorney, Rick Brodsky, called me. He told me that you had advised him that his appearance was not necessary for this evening, but that he is still representing you for purposes of this application. So just want to, is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We pretty much went through the whole thing already.
I think the only thing we were waiting for, Mr. Chairman, we wanted Dave to give, the application's done, we just want to know whether the sidewalks are to be installed.
Well, and Dave sent a message to the entire board, I believe.
Yes.
I got a letter.
Yep. Yes, but we didn't have that last meeting, at least not that
Well,
early.
because he just did this on the 14th of April, right after the meeting.
Right.
So he went out and did that.
And also, and for Dave, I mean, somebody had said he didn't review it, and he had reviewed it.
Yeah, if I could just explain, the first
Please-
letter I
please
sent
go ahead.
had some poor wording in it that I'm an engineer, I'm not an English major. So the wording made it seem like I didn't look at the plan, but I had it in front of me, Candace had sent them to me, I looked at them, and I did it a second time just to write this revision to the letter. And in reality, what...
I've been to the site any number of times, right?
I've been there twice.
Yeah.
Plus, I used to live down that end and used to run that direction out to Sandy Hook and back. So I probably went past it 1,500 times. So, in any case, as the planning board engineer, I'm here to to let the board know when I think something should be done. I work for the town, meaning you guys, and when we can ask an applicant to provide something in a public street, I try to show that. When I reviewed Mountain View Way, the application down at the very end that the Kritzbergs owned, I asked for sidewalk, they provided it. And I also did a preliminary review of the two houses that are being built down there. And they're also providing sidewalk. Well, I'm not doing the inspections because I think Avakian is doing them as the town engineer. That is my understanding, that there'll be sidewalk. So there's going to be sidewalk coming down the street from the end of this property all the way to the west. So I believe that there should be a sidewalk placed. And what it could be is it could be a combination curb and sidewalk, 4 feet in total, with a construction joint between the curb, with a thickened piece of sidewalk for the curb below the pavement, and going back 4 feet. That would run from the western section of the property to the existing sidewalk that's sitting on Ocean Avenue. It would then continue the sidewalk right to Ocean Avenue. I don't want to do a crosswalk across Ocean because there's one on the other side. So just have a crosswalk going, meaning a curb cut, going across Mountain View Way to the south to the other sidewalk on the other side. And that's where people will cross if they want to cross Ocean Avenue. So that's my idea. That's what I believe the board should approve. It's totally up to the board to make that decision.
We're not asking how to do install crosswalk across now.
No.
Okay. I didn't think you were suggesting that.
Nope. But I do think
Could I ask you about her backyard? I know she has had lots of guests there, and if they've had an overabundance, they've parked in her backyard.
Yep.
Would a curb cut be too much to ask there?
Oh, no, I think there should be a very wide curb cut there. It's not going to affect anybody. Just make a curb cut big enough to accept 3 cars or so. It doesn't really matter.
Is curb cut to go, they have garages.
Curb cut with a
Right. Whatever kind of curb cut she wants, whether it's 10 feet or 30 feet.
Well,
It's okay.
there's no parking required on that street, not allowed, so it doesn't
Right.
matter how many curb cuts you have, it's not gonna take away a
Right.
parking
That's
space.
right. Yes, Dave. So Dave is correct. And to me, you can do the curb cut right from the wood deck all the way back to the side of the garage, to the west side of the garage. It's fine. And what that means is that'll be a not necessarily sidewalk. It'll be an apron, but it'll be the same way.
Dave, can I ask a question? I was concerned about a telephone pole in that area
There is.
and the fact that it may be actually embedded into the sidewalk. Can you comment on that?
It will be, and it looks like it'll be about a foot or a foot and a half off the roadway, and the sidewalk. I mean, right down here downtown, we got telephone poles all through the place that are embedded in the concrete. And what I would propose is that there'd be just a slight radius around the back, so the sidewalk is a little bit larger just in that area
But you need
to make it safe to go by.
You need 3 feet required, so
Yeah.
they'll come down to the pole, just go around it a little and continue on.
Yeah, then
But
go back to normal.
Dave says, downtown, the poles are everywhere,
Yeah.
in every sidewalk, it's not.
Yeah, we just, at the last meeting, we talked about it as a potential concern. I just wanted to make sure we understood your view on it.
Yeah, there's also a gas post and a sign post there. The gas post is one of those testing posts, and then the sign post is our public works, street sign, which if it had to be moved a little bit, but I don't think it has to. Just leave it there.
Now, also I was pointing out that if you look at their survey, the survey shows that the property line is exactly where the pole is. The curb is like another 2 feet away. So she has from her property line 8 feet. It's deceiving now because if you stand at the curb, it looks like it's really close, but the new house is actually going to be almost 2 feet further back. So I think she has adequate room there. She can do planting along the house, so the garage is there. I think it's fine, and it'll give a safety aspect to, with all the houses in the back there now. The children that want to go from there and go to the beach, they don't have to walk down a narrow 18-foot wide street. I build houses with 18-foot wide driveways. That's in fact, there was a road wide designated for that street. Remember, you wanted it, and we argued that we couldn't do it because it would destroy her property.
Yep.
And that's the reason
It's a
why.
20-foot wide street. That's the way it's staying.
So for anybody to go out to the beach, all these houses in the back, if they have any kids, they can walk down the sidewalk. They don't have to walk down the middle of the street. And in the summertime, all the people coming off the bridge, I've come past there a million times, where they all go past the turnoff because they don't want to wait in line. They go and U-turn somewhere, and that's the first street they U-turn in. So there's going to be a lot of traffic there unless they put a sign out in front like they did downtown here. What's that development down here? They say no parking, no drive. But I think it's going to be an active street. I think it would be safe for the kids, and anybody who needs to walk in or out, go to the public access to the river or the public access to the beach. That's my opinion.
I agree.
What happens with the gas line?
Well, it's a gas post.
Post.
The gas line is probably in the street. And what happens is there's a wire that goes from the gas line back up to this post in this little box, and the guys test it, believe it or not, with electricity to check to see whether or not, and that sounds strange, to see whether or not there's corrosion of that pipe. They can tell through their meters whether or not eventually the pipe will have to be replaced and when.
But you wouldn't want that in the middle of the sidewalk, so we're.
Well, it's not going to be in the middle of the sidewalk. It's very close to to Ocean Avenue, and it's really going to be maybe very close to where the curb would be too. If you look at that survey, maybe 6 inches, 9 inches off.
I have nothing.
Is there going to be any testimony tonight, or just a discussion?
No, I think.
Can I,
Oh, of course.
some people were not here, and,
But just so you know, they've all certified that they've reviewed the record of the last meeting.
right. There's several things that I just wanted to clarify from last meeting.
There's two
It's the
meetings.
impression that this is like new public access. So this public access has been there since I've been in Seabright. The length of the width of the street is public to the river. The people who live on the street have used it. The developer came in and they were trying to put a cul-de-sac and a lot of other things when they were doing their major development. The planning board, rightly so, stopped it and said they wanted to not vacate the land. So this is nothing new, this public access that pedestrians are going to come. We've had public access, we have chairs down there. Nobody except the people on the street actually uses public access just because there's a bench there. To think that we're going to have a lot more pedestrian traffic on this street, that we need a sidewalk 4 feet from my house, I think, with obstacles in it, is just, I think, a stretch. And the other thing that I think Councilman Bieber brought up last time is having obstacles where you're on the sidewalk, you're not on the sidewalk because there's poles, you have to cross the street at Ocean Avenue, you have to cross Mountain View because the crosswalk is on the other side. I think just adds some more hazards where people will cross on the north side of town, not at the crosswalk, or they'll be crossing Mountain View in front of all those traffic. So I think there's some hazards that need to be addressed as far as the safety of this, putting a sidewalk, as well as some of the additional things that I had mentioned at the last place, where you're taking 10% of a narrow lot. The only reason I'm even here is not because my property is too small, but it's because of the width. And I did my best to make a property that would look nice and be conforming. And now you're making a non-conforming property more non-conforming by making it narrower and having me give 10% of my property to the public sidewalk, which I have to maintain. I have to worry about litigation. I have to and I also had some landscaping. I have a lot of expenses of removing some really trees that have been there before Sandy. They survived Sandy. They're a buffer for the street noise. They're a buffer for the hurricanes. And I feel that because a developer came on my block and put in 4 homes on this side of the house, on my side of the street, where there had been 3, so this is not like all these additional houses are going to be there. North side, before Sandy, there were 3 houses plus mine. Now there's 4 houses plus mine. We haven't had a sidewalk since the beginning. Because the developer agreed in his, large project to put a sidewalk in, I just find it's a big ask to have an individual citizen who's just trying to build her home to put in a sidewalk. The other applicants, with the one you just approved, are you asking everybody? I just asked. Are you asking every new person that comes in with new projects to put a sidewalk in? Or is it just because there's a development behind my house that you're asking me to do one?
You have to take every single street on its own, and you have to judge that street on its own. Your street is getting incredibly improved. And as Dave said, and as we pointed out previously in other applications, it is a major turnaround for people driving in, up and down Ocean Avenue, especially when you come off that bridge, because it's the first turnaround you go to. The open space in the back is not new. I mean, it may be there now, but it's going to be greatly, greatly improved, and it's going to become an attractive location for people to go to, because that's part of that application. So you can't compare what's there today with what's going to be there once that development is completely done. And this board has to do what's right for the town of Seabright. And we can't just look at one individual applicant. I mean, Ruth, this is killing me that I'm where I am. I love you. I really do. I've known you for years. And I know you don't want to do this, but I have an obligation to look beyond that. And I can't make decisions based on the fact that I like Ruth. I have to make a decision based upon what I think is best for the town and based upon everything put together. And when I do that, I listen to Dave and know that that entire street's being redeveloped. I don't see how we can possibly not require there to be a sidewalk to connect with the sidewalk that is going to be put in, because that street has changed in character from where it was a year ago. It's a completely different street now. That street is fast becoming one of the nicest streets in all of town. So you can't compare what's been there for 20 years, 30 years with what's going to be there this year and next year.
But it's not one of the most populated streets. I mean,
I didn't say populated.
Yeah,
I said one of the nicest
it's going to be
streets.
new homes, and because you made a developer put a sidewalk in that maybe should not have put in, but that was a decision that they agreed to and
Should
you
be on the
agreed
other side
to.
of the street.
I mean, there were reasons that we didn't put it on.
Because that property was, the reason, I was at those meetings, the reason you did it on the north side of the street is because the developer's north side of the property is 80 feet deep. Because putting a 4-foot sidewalk on a 40-foot lot it's a big...
Ruth, you can't go back in time. What's done is done. And again, the character of that neighborhood has changed. You have the development next door to you, which is God knows how many units, I don't remember right now. But that was never there before. All those people are going to be coming over and walking down that street. And I'm sorry.
No, they have their own dock. They have their own, like, beautiful riverfront place. They're not coming to Mountain View to sit on a bench.
I would tend to disagree.
Nobody.
I think they may use that public
I
access.
would disagree with you.
And that's fine.
Nothing, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. There's absolutely nothing we're going to say up here that's going to change your mind. We're convinced that's it. And what I said in one of your earlier meetings is you're not losing the property, you're not giving up the property, you're simply changing the surface that you walk on. Dave, and you talk about parking in the back, which makes sense to have that all curb cut so you can continue to park back there. But nothing we say will change your mind. We're just going to have to make a decision on what we think is best, and having that other sidewalk to nowhere instead of when we have an opportunity to connect with Ocean Avenue is what makes sense from a planning, for the planning board, and that's what makes sense from a planning perspective.
But I, as a property owner, you're taking away my rear parking, not the curb cuts.
No,
It
you
doesn't-
still have your parking.
No, I
Drive over
don't.
the apron.
I have a photograph. I can show this to you.
No, I remember
I
that
just pulled
photograph
in
from the
today.
It-
I'm in the sidewalk.
No, I understand, you'll be in the sidewalk, and that's what I'm saying, you're not.
But that's okay,
you're
so
not
the law's
losing-
changing
you're
now
not-
that I
you're
can
not
park
losing
in the
any
sidewalk.
property, you're just changing the surface.
I'm losing all my parking in the
Right.
rear because the cars are now in the sidewalk.
Well, when a car parks there, it could be partially in the sidewalk, but it's an apron at that
You
point.
can park in the garage and you can park over that roof. You don't have to be safe.
Instead of gravel,
No.
it's cement, that's all.
And the requirement for your home is only 2 spaces for parking. This is additional.
I know I have one spot in the back because everything else.
You have a
cannot.
2-car garage.
That's for me, I'm the guest. I mean, I park in the garage, my guests can't go in my garage.
There's nothing we can say that will change your perspective, I understand that.
Ms. Fialko, at the last meeting, first of all, I think we all appreciate and understand the difficulty and challenges we have here. The concern that I expressed last time is I believe that it's going to be a very busy street going forward. It's going to continue to be that way, especially with people turning down it. And the concern I expressed last time was if you have a sidewalk that ends at your property, people are inherently going to step into the street
Right.
as cars are coming down that block. And I think that's a significant safety risk that we have to watch out for. That's got to be a top priority, and that caused me concern to say, what you're asking for would introduce a safety risk to the town as the street remains and stays busy going forward. That was my main concern, and that's sort of the way I look at it as compared to the responsibility that we have on the board.
But I think having a sidewalk with obstacles in it from the river all the way to Ocean Avenue, with the property behind me also having these poles dead center in it, but at least people have room behind it to walk. Now it's...
No, the sidewalk is going to go around. It's not going to be straight. When it gets to the pole, it's going to curve out around and then continue straight.
So that's
Out around or into her property deeper?
into my property.
Yeah, just at that pole.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
So how
Just want to
far?
clear it for the record.
Yeah, so you said it's 1.5 feet in.
So
So
it's gonna
now,
probably come in about a foot and a half.
right. So now it's going to be a 5.5 foot sidewalk. It's going to be
Just in that one little area.
in that one area. It's going to be 3 feet from my property line.
Mark, you said before there was reasons for not having it on the other side.
I don't remember when, but I have to imagine it was, because I know when we did, and Dave,
And we wouldn't, that property's unused property over there.
well, I know,
No, they're building houses.
I mean, Heather, you had the big memory.
I know.
And the reason,
I have Google.
On the north side? No, on the south side.
on the south side,
Building houses there.
No, I thought they were going down the right side.
No, there's another house there and there's two more down the end.
that must be why.
No, the two on the end.
And there's one on that side.
One on that side.
There was definitely a reason, because
Yeah.
we had an entire discussion about the north side, and the fact that we couldn't go all the way to Ocean Avenue because Ruth's house was not part of the application.
wanted to go to
And we wanted to go to Ocean Avenue, and if we weren't worried about Ruth's property, since we were worried about Ruth's property, we would have just put it on the south side. There was a reason we didn't put it on the
I think there's a turnaround, I think there's gonna be a turnaround.
The other
That
side,
The other side is not as.
A K-turn?
all
Okay,
this is
yeah,
one
but that would be-
development.
lot narrower.
which
I
means
remember
that
that.
the sidewalk would be discontinuous.
It's not two separate, it's one, Mountain View Villas, the two homes behind me are part of the same development, so it's not two homes and
Well,
then.
they were excluded from the development. They
They were
originally
excluded,
part of it, and it got
variances,
changed.
right, but it's one development, and you did it on the north side because the property's twice as deep as on the south side. The south side is 40, they're putting two homes there, and you felt there was no room on the side for a sidewalk on the south side because it was only 40 deep, and that's the same as what I have right now. It's very close to the property line, it's ruining my landscaping, it's a big expense to ask me, I have to take down a lot of trees that are mature,
You're moving the house a little closer to the street also. You are 35
No, I
feet.
moved
now
it
you're on
away.
25.
She moved it away.
I moved it half a foot away, further away, I'm 7.5
No,
now.
I'm talking about forward onto
Yes.
Ocean Avenue. So in order to knock this building down and build a new building, you're going to lose a lot of the stuff you think you're trying to save. It's not
No.
going to survive. You can't bring in equipment, you can't dig resident holes,
no,
you can't
I
pile
found
dirt, you can't get supplies in there. You're going to have to modify what you have there already to start with. So my decision is based on what's good for the town and the public safety of the town. I'm sorry, you could make that look pretty there. You're still 4 feet from the sidewalk to the house. You can do nice rows of shrubs along the house. It'll look very pretty. And then in the front, you just move your garden further in. That's all.
Dave, I think another thing you said, which was we always keep talking about the public access going to the west. You brought up the point of it's a new development. There are going to be a lot of families in there. So there are going to be a lot of kids now
That's right.
on the street that were never there before. Who are going to be walking to the beach, who would walk on the sidewalk and then have to get off the sidewalk to walk to, that's.
And this will be done during the summer, the busiest time with traffic. So it's a combination of a tragedy, if you ask me. If there's going to be 5 new families back there with children and stuff, and maybe they're year-round residents, even if they're not just summer residents, Before it was just a few old families in there.
right.
I'm
It's
old.
Why don't I get a little involved here?
You
Just
don't know that there's children, and I just think we're making these assumptions that it's going to be all these children on the block. I mean, whoever buys the property,
But Ruth, what I want to say right now is this is going around and around, and it's pretty clear that the board members, in the most part, have a clear view of how they feel about it. And it seems to me that the board overall wants sidewalks on that side of the street and to continue them down. You have options to keep what you have there now and walk away from your application, or I believe the board is very happy with what you've proposed, except they want a sidewalk. And that decision is yours then.
Mr. Chair, if I could just define it so that we have.
Please do.
Yeah, so what I would like to see, if the board agrees, is a 4-foot sidewalk with an integral curve, which would be 6 inches of that 4 feet, with a radius around the pole that'll be talked about later. We'll figure that out. And then there would have to be an underlying easement to the town, not a dedication, so you still own the property, an easement that would allow for that sidewalk to be built and owned by the town. Yes, you would have maintenance, because that's, in every town, that's the way it is.
The town would build sidewalks?
No.
oh, I build
But there would be.
it, I pay taxes on it, I build it,
Yes,
and I have to maintain it, but I'm
Yes.
giving it to you.
but you're
Do
providing
my
easement to
taxes
the
go
town.
down?
What's that?
Do my real estate taxes
You
go
can appeal, I guess.
The sidewalk on your front of your house, is public access, and you still own the property. In front of my house, I live on Ocean Avenue also. The whole front of my house has a 5-foot
Right.
drive, a sidewalk.
Having a sidewalk
let's try not to
is very different than
fire
on
it
a
up
dead end
anymore.
street with
Yeah.
no
Jay, I
traffic.
have a question. The edge of the sidewalk, we started from the edge of the asphalt, which is,
Well, I don't actually know, I don't know where that is now, because.
we have a
we'd have to line it up.
survey
Well, yeah, we'd have to line it up. Steve, we'd have to line it up with the other
that's
curves.
what I'm saying, it's not all on Ruth property, some of
That's
it
all.
is on.
Yeah, actually, so he's actually got a little bit more. Your property, if this survey is accurate, you probably have another 1.5 to 2 feet more property to the curb.
This is
Yeah,
an
this
old
survey is
survey.
done.
This survey is old, and
All right,
when
it shows the- it
the
shows the
town
going
put
right
the
through the
curbs
property.
in, they already took away some of the property and put the curbs in, so this is, I can get another survey, but,
Survey is 2004.
yeah, this is when I bought the house.
So you have options. One is to walk away, and the other is to build sidewalks.
Or she can appeal the court's decision.
If I can just say one thing, it's very common for planning boards in New Jersey to require something like this. It's so common, they don't even call it an off-site improvement, they call it an on-site improvement. In terms of the municipal land use law. And it's been common in Seabright that sidewalks are either rebuilt, repaired, or built on almost all the properties along Ocean Avenue, along the side streets, along in town here, where there's sidewalks up and down every street. It's very common. Seabright is a built-up town. It's not a rural area like Millstone or Nelton. So sidewalks are important. That's. I won't say anything else, but I promise you.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
downtown Seabright, I understand having sidewalks. If you look at North Beach, like I said, the only sidewalk is on Via Riva. An applicant came in right after me and got approval, no mention of sidewalks. And the only reason, if I had done my improvement before the developer, I would not have had to put the sidewalk in. But just because this deal you made with the developer to put a sidewalk in, it is being pushed down my throat. And
Mr. Chairman, I promised Mrs. Fialco that I would not argue with her at the meeting when we talked on the phone.
And just,
But nobody wants to argue with it.
and just for verification, 4 foot is required for a
Yeah, you can't do less than that. Yeah, especially with the pole there.
So Ruth, it's your call.
so you're voting on it, or is it already done?
Well, we have a vote.
No,
Whatever you decide to do with those.
we've agreed in general that your development will be approved.
If I put a
The
sidewalk,
home.
If you put a sidewalk in.
and if I don't put the sidewalk in, I would like it to be approved without the sidewalk. And I would leave space for pedestrians to walk like they can now on the gravel. You're putting an impervious sidewalk that nobody's going to use, and I just feel like you're putting it very close to the house. It's a big expense. I'm spending enough on trying to improve this property, and then to feel like, as a personal homeowner, I never in Seabright, tell me another property that you've asked the homeowner to put this.
Actually, I can answer that. They've asked a lot of people. But
Not
it
downtown.
was part of their approval to put the
Downtown
sidewalks in.
Seabright has pedestrian traffic. Two of my neighbors are here. We have no traffic on our street other than the cars. And if the concern is the cars, I suggest that we make some regulation, no U-turns on that street. Not like I have to put a sidewalk in to keep it safe from cars that are making illegal U-turns on our, because believe me, they drive up on the things, I put cones up, they drive up on my driveway, they're gonna be driving up on the sidewalk making, so. This unsafe sidewalk is the idea of the board, and I don't feel like I need the liability of what could happen on my sidewalk.
Just for the sake of the record, Mr. Chairman, you're absolutely right. We have required sidewalks before of other applicants, not downtown. I know we did one in South Beach that sticks out over near Allenby Way, I believe. I can't think of the name of the street right now, but down at the bottom there.
We all know that we've done that, and I don't think we need to go through every one that we've done. What I do want to say is, you have a choice here, and if you want it to be your development to go forward only without sidewalks, that's your option to say that, and then the board will decide if they can go along with that or not.
The board can also approve the application with the condition that sidewalks be installed. So, and then it
Yes.
would be up to Ms. Fiacco to meet the condition of approval to get her construction.
That's what I would like to
Yeah.
do personally, but should we open to the public?
Yeah, we should, but
No, I don't know.
one thing at a time here, Mark. I'm happy to do it.
This is an upsetting application. It
It
is.
is for everybody, especially Ruth.
Yeah, we understand that.
But it's an undersized lot.
She needs variances.
No, it doesn't meet the requirements of the building code.
Right.
And part of the building code is if you take a house down to the ground, you must comply with all the regulations, everything.
There's
It's
no,
like starting from scratch. It's not like a renovation where you can modify it a little. So we're giving you a lot of variances to build a beautiful home there for you, but we're asking for public safety, that's all. I don't think it's such a big issue for me.
And she's got, it isn't, and she's got three, it's because I feel what Ruth is saying, that's what I mean by it's difficult. I don't mean it's difficult as far as the decision that I'm trying to make. But, you're right, Dave, there's three variances here. It's not that there's just some minor de minimis variance.
right.
We've all spoken about them already, and it's really up to Ruth what she wants to do. So
Absolutely.
why don't we do this? Ruth has given some testimony tonight. Why don't we open to the public? Is there anyone in the public that has a question or has a statement about the testimony before you tonight, or any of the last two meetings that we've heard this application? Yes, sir. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Joseph Dorn. I live in Highlands. I'm a friend of Ruth's. I have a question to the board. Is it legal for cars parked partially in a sidewalk, public right of way? Is it legal for a car to park?
Okay, in this case, it will not be a public right-of-way, it'll be an easement to the town that is owned by Mrs. Fiacco. So I wouldn't think there'd be any problem
In this particular
in
case.
this, because it's
I can't answer your question in general.
Atlantic Islands, Highlands, Middletown, whatever, they're usually all public right-of-ways.
Because any car that she parks in the back is going to be parked partially onto the sidewalk.
But she has enough detriment.
Understand too that with regard to this application, Ms. Fiacco actually fulfills the parking requirements with the two-car garage for her piece of property. So although she has parking back there, that's not required. So, she fulfills the requirements with the house. That's just extra. She wants it for guests, that's for her.
Thank you. Anything else?
Can I make, it's more of a statement than anything. The landscaping is on the side of her house that she's concerned about, not the landscaping that's in the front on Ocean Avenue. She's going to lose all of that landscaping.
I was just out there this morning.
From the corner.
Trees.
The corner.
From the corner.
On the front corner.
The corner.
Yeah, no, there's nothing on the side.
Oh, there's a lot on the side. She has a picture of it.
Well, we either have to swear him in for his testimony.
There's a lot of landscaping there that I'm the one who built it, so I know about it. I'm the one who planted everything there. So.
I think Ruth has told us about her landscaping already.
It's just the point I'm making. She's going to lose a lot of that landscaping.
I understand, and she's made that point as well.
It's not-
I just don't want to drag the meeting out over the same thing we've already heard. And that's my job as a chairman to do that. And that's why I'm slowing you down a little bit on that.
Not you, my friend.
I understand. I think she has a number of friends on the board. Is there anything else?
No, that would be.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name for the record and address.
Yes, hi. My name is Teresa Huang.
I'm sorry, your name?
Teresa Huang.
Teresa Huang?
Yes, and I live on, I'm her neighbor, live on 154 Ocean Avenue.
You're going to have to speak
Yeah.
clearly with your
Really
address.
hard to hear. There you go.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Your address.
164 Ocean Avenue. I
Thank you.
am Ruth's neighbor. I've been there for over 20 years. Ruth came after me, and I can see that the town is transforming, from what we used to live before, like very rural, into today. But we are, both of us, and also we also friends of the developer. So it's not that we don't, we try to against it. We try to accommodate everybody. So, but Ruth and I have the same side of the lot. It's only 40 feet deep, as opposed to 80 feet deep. If you take 4 feet away from an 80 foot deep, it probably wouldn't be anything, even for safety or for beauty of the town. But thinking about taking, I don't know, the 3 or 4 foot away from the 40 narrow lot, my question is that, is there any way we can compensate for that safety by exchanging, not building the walkway on her property to something else? Is there any other way that we could do it without having to impose a walkway on her land?
First of all, she's not losing her property. We're only putting concrete on 4 feet of it. We're asking to put concrete on 4 feet. You're not losing anything.
Oh, I see.
I don't know of any way we can, with the feeling in the board right now,
Make the street narrower,
make the street narrower,
put the sidewalk on the other side of the curb.
go from to a 12-foot street.
We don't have the authority to do anything this year.
We can, our job is to literally to say yes or no. And the board can say yes if they want to, and it sounds like they want to say no, you have to have this or not go forward.
So I just have one other comment.
Okay, please.
Just like the Ruth said at the very beginning, the end of the street had been a complete place all along. And I know that we in the street, my children go up back and forth, they grab there, and then we use public. So it's not like it had been a new mini park, it had always been there. And I know it's going to be improved, it's going to be beautiful, and I'm looking forward to that. I also wanted to make sure that everything that we do in here is improvement, but it's also for the people who live there, who own the land there. You know what I'm saying? So,
Of course.
So Ruth and I like next to each other, we like between the street together. So I guess I'm here just to support her. I don't want to see her losing her land in any way. So I just don't feel like getting, even though it's still her land, 4 feet away from a 40 narrow street is probably why she feeling the pain right now, and I'm her neighbor feel the pain for her too. So I just hope it will look for the town for any other alternative way.
You're very nice to come and speak up. Thank you very much. Oh, we knew you'd stand up.
Matt Farrow, 6 Mountain View Way. I feel awful because my sidewalk that we relented with the board, and now she has to build her sidewalk. I do
You
have
can
to
do
say-
it.
You guys are real good when it comes to that. You guys are awful. Amazing.
Yeah, but before you.
I told her I'd come down and shovel it.
Before you continue, remember at the meeting, there's a widening of the street. We didn't ask you to take the widening. We didn't take it away from you, and in turn, you put the sidewalks in. We could have widened the street there too. So, it's.
Let's not complicate
No, I'm just
things.
saying that.
Well, you've been done a lot of things.
Please,
You've been
board
done a lot of
members.
things, and that's not the way it is. Well, and I understand what you're saying as far as connecting the sidewalks. But I understand her point. It's hard. But I will say, I have 25 feet to my house. In front of the garage, when I park my pickup truck, my bumper is going to be partially on that sidewalk. Now, you're saying it's okay, which it probably is, but bear in mind, our other neighbor is Lansing.
I don't think we said it was okay for you. Sorry, I'm kidding.
And by code, you're not allowed to park in a setback.
What's that?
By our code, you're not allowed to park any vehicle within a setback.
I'm sure we dealt with that during that
The
application.
driveways.
That is not part of this application. I don't think we want to bring that up right now.
Well, besides that, Councilman, though, we're going to have to do something on that street this summer when people come down there and turn around. I don't know what we're going to do. Because now that COVID's over, I've only been living there 2 years, and they have told me they jumped the line from going into Sandy Hook, because it's 2 lanes. Instead of going down around and waiting in line, they jumped the line. I believe Waze tells them to do it.
Yep, and
You could take that up with council.
Well,
That's not
council.
council. Yeah, but this is not council. So you can bring that up at a council meeting.
You got it.
we're trying to focus this
Yeah.
on the issue and make a decision.
Well, I just want to interrupt.
Yeah,
And again, you're very nice to stand up in her defense, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
I think we just all know there's not a lot of pedestrian traffic. And I think when you're saying the sidewalk that he's put in ends, and it's a sidewalk to nowhere, I don't really agree that it's a sidewalk to nowhere. I think it's a sidewalk for that community that he's going to have.
Ruth, I'm going to wrap up the public. Is there anyone else in the public that has a statement or a question about any of the testimony? If not, the public portion is now closed. I'm sorry, Ruth. Go
No,
ahead.
it's okay.
It gets down
Taking
to,
away, you are taking away my guest parking, which is important. I'm going to be parked in the sidewalk. So what is the point of designing a sidewalk with poles and obstacles and cars in the way? To me, it's just more dangerous than not having a sidewalk and having what we've had for the last whatever many years, where people go to the beach. It's a beach town, and they walk in the street like they do in all the other streets. So that's.
thank you. Board members, discussion or promotion?
I'm open to hear what anybody else has to say, but I would like to approve the application with the condition of the sidewalk.
Combination sidewalk and curb.
Yes.
I would second that unless somebody wants to have a discussion on it.
The only thing I would recommend is her ability to have a long curb cut so that she can use her.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Dave agreed before too.
The length she wants. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
And I would just say, I think we can't assume a pedestrian, we can't just assume what it was like before. Everything's changing. So.
And I think as zoning people, we have an obligation for the public safety, and I think the conditions at that site warrant what we're doing right now with public access at both ends, for pedestrians to be able to walk someplace safely without walking in the street. That's my opinion. I sympathize with you, but we got to do what we think is right also.
I mean, fortunately, we had no kids on our street. Now in Sandy, I've got 5 kids running around sidewalks on the street, and
You run around.
oh my goodness, she does look before she crosses.
And as Dave said, she's taking down the house completely, it's a completely new house, and we are giving her a lot of variance relief. So
Mark, you have a motion on the floor.
I think I made a motion, I think Dave seconded it.
And Dave seconded. Do a roll call, please.
Okay. Councilman Bieber?
Yes.
Mr. Cashmore?
Yes.
Chairman Cunningham?
Yes.
Vice Chairman DeSeo?
Yes.
Ms. Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Lexstein?
Yes.
And Mr. Giuliano?
Just one final question. Is there going to be something saying that, like, I can park in the sidewalk and the police aren't going to come ticket my own cars?
No, it's not legal.
It's not legal.
You can go into your property dealer.
I have no backyard. Yeah,
You can move the cul-de-sac if you want, and you'll have enough place to park everything.
Come on, enough said, Dave.
So now, Mr. Chairman, I guess the big question is, Monica, you have a resolution, would you prefer that we not adopt it tonight?
Yeah, based on my conversation with Mr. Brodsky, I do have to make some changes to it and provide it to him for review. So he has an opportunity to comment.
Okay.
Because he did not decline representation.
Okay.
Usually I say congratulations, but
Okay, yeah.
sorry.
I still have the option of keeping my house and just lifting it and having a little bungalow in the big, I just.
Yes, you do.
I do.
A beautiful new house is much better, believe me.
Well, that's your opinion.
No.
You know?
You're getting your opinion also.
You got unanimous approval.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to pass on the resolution and let's see, didn't we have an executive session on it?
Yes.
Okay, we are moving to executive session